The international community is united for once in a single message, a global appeal to prevent a military escalation in the Middle East. Attempts to ease tensions come as Israel still debates how to respond to Iran's drone and missile attack on Israeli territory. For now, the Israeli ambassador to the UN has confirmed only that there will be reprisals.
Take a moment to think what would happen if Ayatollah Khamenei could have launched a nuclear bomb last night. Is this the world we want to live in? Impose all possible sanctions on Iran before it's too late. What would you do? What would you do if you were in Israel's shoes? How would you react if your existence was threatened every single day? This attack crossed every red line, and Israel reserves the legal right to retaliate.
There has been an urgent overnight meeting of the UN Security Council in which Secretary General Antonio Guterres reminded that international law prohibits retaliatory actions that include the use of force.
I strongly condemn the serious escalation represented by the large-scale attack launched on Israel by the Islamic Republic of Iran this evening, and I call for an immediate cessation of these hostilities. End quote. I remind all member states that the Charter of the United Nations prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations.
The EU calls for no false steps, and the US insists it will not support an Israeli attack on Iran while working to prevent the conflict from spreading to other regions. This was confirmed by the spokesperson for the U.S. National Security Council, John Kirby.
We don't want to see a war with Iran. We don't want to see this conflict widen or deepen or escalate any further. And what the president was willing to do on Saturday night, put American fighter pilots in the air, American ships at sea to help defend Israel, I think proves how strongly we are committed to Israel's self-defense. And that's not going to change.
The G7 countries, meeting via video conference, condemn Iran's attack on Israel, expressing full support but appealing for moderation. This was done in a joint statement by the leaders of Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, Japan, Germany, and Canada, as well as those of the European Union. A text in which they affirm that Iran, with its actions, has taken a step further towards destabilizing the region and risks triggering an uncontrollable regional escalation.
Several days ago, they struck in Syria, Damascus, an Iranian diplomatic military compound. The Iranians responded, but they did so, shall we say, disproportionately, because instead of targeting Israeli interests outside of Israel, well, they went to fetch Israel on its territory from their own, which is a first.
In addition to the prior warning Iran claims to have made, an aspect denied by Washington, the minimization of damage is undoubtedly due to U.S. technology made available to Israel. In fact, U.S. President Joe Biden himself wanted to congratulate the U.S. military forces that assisted in the attack.
Hey, you guys are the best in the whole damn world, man. The whole world. No, that's not hyperbole, man. Both these squadrons. You're incredible. Absolutely incredible. You made an enormous difference, potentially saving a lot of lives. And thanks to extraordinary skill, the United States helped Israel take down nearly all those incoming missiles. You're remarkable.
Mr. President, we thank you for your words. This is Lieutenant Colonel Curtis Culver, 494th Fighter Squadron Commander, and we're mighty proud to have our part in that contribution, sir.
You're just incredible. I apologize for my enthusiasm. I'm supposed to be much more reserved.
Not at all, sir. But I'm proud to be an American.
But we cannot overlook that the firm support shown, even with actions, by the U.S. does not include, as the White House has already warned, an armed response from Israel against Iran. As for the use of diplomacy from now on to avoid a serious escalation of war in the area, an initial analysis suggests that this attack was an obligation for Iran as a means of safeguarding its image after Israel's direct aggression against one of its diplomatic missions, but little else. The fact that the attack was announced and to the point of departure 1,600 kilometers from its targets, canceling any element of surprise, can be interpreted as an effort by Tehran to comply with its obligations without being too aggressive. We will see what role the Gulf monarchies play in this conflict. In favor of their mediation capacity, their good relationship with the U.S., and their Islamic status, against precisely their proximity to the West, and that, let us not forget, Saudi Arabia in particular is, within the Muslim world, rivaling with Iran to establish themselves as leaders of the Islamic world. It seems like a good sign that international markets have not seen major drops, despite the panorama presented by Iran's attack on Israeli territory. It seems that the owners of world money are convinced that the situation will not escalate, mainly because the U.S. essential support for Israel in any amplification of the conflict seems, at least for now, not to be for war.
Iran sought to damage Israel's strategic capabilities, something that did not happen in the past. We prepared with Operation Iron Dome, and this reaction caused Iran to encounter an aerial superiority that they displayed very well. Last Monday, we saw what was being organized, and we thought that the state of Israel is very strong and can manage on its own. But in the face of such a widespread and distant threat, we are always pleased to have support. And I tell you that there was a phone call to the commander of the United States Central Command, General Kurila, last Monday, and by Thursday morning he had already landed in Israel. We initiated joint coordination. There is something in this statement. Iran is encountering a very strong international capacity here. We are looking forward, considering our steps, and this launch of so many missiles, cruise missiles, and drones towards the territory of the State of Israel will receive a response. Prepared individuals are carrying out great processes and achieving excellent results. It is very significant. I believe they are very well prepared, and I have a lot of confidence in this capacity for the future, for what will be necessary.
For Russia, it is necessary for both parties to show restraint and resolve their differences through political and diplomatic means. The Russian foreign minister spoke with his Iranian counterpart after the attack and attributes Iran's aggression to the UN's lack of reaction following Israel's attack on the Iranian diplomatic representation in Damascus. In fact, Russia's representative to the UN claims that the attack on a diplomatic representation is casus belli and wonders what would have happened if the aggression had been against a Western embassy. On the other hand, the true counterweight to the U.S. in the emerging world order, China, has also spoken out following these attacks, which represent a qualitative change in the mutual aggressions between Iran and Israel for some time now. China currently supports Iran, emphasizing that they are strategic partners, accusing the United Nations of double standards. However, at this moment, Beijing is calling for moderation from the parties to prevent the conflict from escalating further.
China calls on the international community, especially influential countries, to play a constructive role in favor of peace and stability in the region. China urges the parties to maintain calm and moderation to avoid further escalation of tensions.